Hello, I am Alan Darr, the Senior Curator of the European Art Department and the Walter B. Ford II Family Curator of European Sculpture and Decorative Arts. And I'm very pleased to present to you today a newly acquired and newly installed imported European piece of furniture. It is the chest or commode you see through these columns that begins the suite of the Grand Tour of Italy. As we go into the gallery, you see first this introduction with a painting by Canaletto of the Piazza of St. Mark's, a beautiful picture. And in that picture, you see the columns that were the inspiration for the columns we recreated as we go into the gallery devoted to Venice and Northern European painting, sculpture, and decorative arts. This is a truly exceptional, a unique chest or commode, a luxurious piece of furniture. In fact, it is unique. It is important both architecturally, pictorially, and sculpturally. It is carved. The chest is made both concave and convex on the sides of the chest and on the front of the chest. It is beautifully painted on the front and on the sides, and it shows on the sides and the front different themes of love and infatuation among the Olympian gods. This commode was made for the wedding of Ambrogio Doria di Carlo. The Doria were the most important noble family in Genoa, just as the Medici were the most important family in Florence. And this is the chest that we saw at the European Fine Art Fair, where I attended with Salvador Soler Pons, our director, the head of the collections committee, and others in 2018. And we were able to reserve and acquire this later from the dealer, who was standing next to the commode on the right-hand side. This chest has the original marble red Brocatello top from Spain. Very rare. It survives intact. It has not been replaced. It also, if I will go into now more detail, on the sides at the lower half of the chest, the two lower registers, we see Diana, the goddess of chastity, also of the moon. You see the crescent moon, and of the hunt, who was immortal, looking down at a beautiful man who was a mortal named Endymion. She fell in love with him, but it could not last forever. So Jupiter, the head of all the Olympian gods, made Endymion, we put him in an eternal sleep, so Diana could admire him always from above. And on the left-hand side of the screen, we see Pan trying to entice Diana. This is a sort of a theme about enticement, leading to a wedding, leading to the nuptials, because this commode was made for the wedding of Ambrogio Carlo di Doria, for his wedding on January 23rd, 1738. It was made by Lorenzo de Ferrari and a sculptor named Bartolomeo Staccone, probably in 1737. And above, on the upper half of the sides, we see Psyche being taken up to the Olympian gods as she had fallen in love with Cupid, the son of Venus. We'll show you Venus in a minute. And on the right-hand side, Psyche is asking Juno for her support with Jupiter and to endorse her marriage to Cupid. So we see on the front, on the lower drawer or lower register, Diana, the goddess of the hunt and of chastity. She is the protector of young brides and of pregnant women. She is having a bath with her attendant maidens. They are naked, but she accidentally sees a hunter named Actaeon who is come across her while hunting, and he falls in love with her. But Diana is incensed, and she turns Actaeon into a stag or a deer, and his own hunting dogs chase and devour Actaeon. A very tragic story. But above, a much happier story of the love of Cupid and Psyche. Cupid, the son of Venus, who you see in the top drawer, giving her blessing. But Cupid, the little fellow with a bow and arrow, shooting an arrow at Psyche, a mortal. Cupid visits Psyche at night, falls in love with her. They want to get married, but she is a mortal. So Cupid goes up to see Jupiter on the second drawer from the top. Jupiter is asking for Jupiter's blessing to allow him to marry Psyche and make her immortal. And in the next screen, I have a detail that shows a detail of Cupid asking Jupiter to endorse and support the wedding. In the background are the other Olympian gods like Pluto with the trident, Mars, Apollo, and many others. And then on the side, upper half, we see these little putti, or little love gods, swirling around with the eagle. That's a symbol not only of Jupiter, but of the Doria family. The Doria family, as I said, the most noble family in Genoa. And we see, so it's an interesting symbolism that the parents of Ambrogio Doria ordered this commode or chest in 1737 for a series of new apartments that they were going to then give to the young couple. We see brilliant carved lion's paw feet and corner decorations made out of a very hard walnut, carved by Bartolomeo Staccone. Brilliant. In a French furniture, these would be made out of gilt bronze, but here they're made out of beautifully gilded wood. The gilding and the paint is in extraordinary original condition. As I mentioned, this was commissioned by the parents of Ambrogio Doria in 1737 for their palace, the Palazzo Nuovo, which was the Doria Palace. You see in the middle of the left-hand screen, and again on the right-hand screen, lit up as the Banco di Roma, because in the early 20th century, it was sold to the Banco di Roma. It's called the Banco di Roma Palazzo, but the original name is the Palazzo Nuovo, and it's in the Piazza dei Ferrari, which is named after the designer and painter, Lorenzo de Ferrari, that not only created this chest, but also did a series of rooms for the newlyweds to move into recently appointed apartments, the metamorphosis rooms. Ferrari did room D and F, you see on the screen. And this is a picture of the metamorphosis room in the Palazzo Nuovo, brilliantly painted and gilded, all quite elaborate. And the commode that we acquired, that remained in the family from 1737 until 2017, or 280 years, until it was sold to the dealer from whom we acquired it, was treasured, was a great treasure of the family. And they sold it only a couple of years ago, and we're only, in a sense, the second owners. So in this room, there are paintings done by Ferrari showing similar scenes you see on the chest. Particularly if you look at the left-hand screen, you see Diana and Endymion, the same theme I mentioned earlier, and on the same left-hand screen, a detail of Pan and Diana that Ferrari later paints onto the commode as well. On the sides, which I mentioned, you see on the left-hand right screen, Diana and Endymion, and Pan and Diana. We know that this is designed and painted by Ferrari because we have very close relationships between the drawings of Ferrari that remain in Genoa. I show you two here, and works on the chest. You see the figure of Jupiter and the study for Jupiter that was used also elsewhere on the ceiling. Very close similarities. And then we see in faces and in the billowing draperies that you see of the Psyche being carried up by Mercury. Mercury is the protector of bankers and merchants, very important for Genoa, not only a seaport, but also a wealthy banking center. And we see Diana, or Venus at the top. So you see Venus on her chariot and Psyche being carried upwards by Mercury. And the drawings that are very similar, done by Ferrari. Ferrari himself went to Rome in 1736 for many months, most of the year. And there he studied the famous painters and their paintings, particularly Raphael and his frescoes in the Villa Farnesina. We see here a similar Pluto and the eagle of Jupiter, and using the same themes on the chest that I mentioned earlier. So he was inspired by the great painter Raphael in Rome, and he was also inspired by another wonderful painter, Annibale Carracci, who lived a few years later, about 1600, and he did brilliant paintings for the Palazzo Farnese, such as this of Pan and Diana that I showed you previously. Is also on the chest. So inspired by great painters helped to lead to this great work of art, which is unique among all pieces of furniture that I know of. It's really an exceptional piece. We're very fortunate to have it. It is now one of the great treasures of the museum, and we show it in our gallery devoted to Venetian and Northern European decorative arts, painting, and sculpture. You see here how it is installed. Below, an important painting by Sebastiano Ricci, and flanked by other Venetian furniture and paintings. So I invite you to come see this when the museum reopens. In the meantime, you can enjoy this video. It's a great pleasure to share this with you. And on behalf of the staff, I thank you very much for your support of the DIA, and we very much look forward to seeing you as soon as we are able to reopen and invite you to join us. Thank you.